Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance, and today we're returning to one of the most valuable environments in the entire game for real learning, real testing, and real understanding of power, brawls. Brawls are often misunderstood. Many players look at the rewards, shrug, and move on. But experienced players know the truth. Brawls are not about prizes. They are about knowledge. They are the only place where you can test heroes at their absolute maximum, fully leveled, fully unlocked, fully empowered, without spending a single resource from your own account. This is where theory meets reality. And today, we're using that environment for something very specific. We're here to extract maximum value from a fully maxed Drayne, to understand his real impact, his true role, and how he performs when everything in his kit is finally unlocked and firing at full strength. Because Drayne is new. He's being judged early. And many players are still unsure where his real power lies. Brawls give us the perfect answer. So today, we're not just testing a hero, we're testing a concept. A team designed to keep Drayne alive long enough to reach his strongest windows, while surrounding him with pressure pieces that benefit from what he does best: tempo, sustained damage curves, and crushing value over time. If you're playing Hero Wars Alliance on Android, the February special on Huawei AppGallery is a great way to get extra value from your in-game purchases. From February 1st to February 28th, 2026, you can earn 20% rewards on eligible purchases. For every €1 or equivalent you spend, you receive reward value through exclusive reward coupons. These rewards can be redeemed for limited time coupons available during the February event. The more you play and spend, the more value you unlock, helping you save on future purchases. Rewards are not granted when using Huawei points, and only the cash amount spent counts toward rewards. To join, simply download Hero Wars Alliance through Huawei AppGallery. Your game progress is completely safe. Just sign in and continue playing. This is a limited time February event, so don't miss it. The team we're using is Drayne, Octavia, Iris, Dante, and Drain. This composition is not random. Every hero has a purpose. Every interaction matters. And together, they create an ideal environment to test Drayne at maximum power, not just for damage, but for influence. Because that's where his identity really appears. At the center of everything is Drayne. As a frontline warrior, Drayne thrives under pressure. In brawls, where enemies are maxed and fights often last longer, he is constantly pushed into the exact conditions his kit was designed for. This is where his mechanics start to matter in a way most players don't see in quick fights. Crushing begins to show value. His pressure cycles start stacking. His empowerment windows begin to control the pace of the battle. Drayne is not here to win in the first 3 seconds. He is here to shape the fight. To create damage windows. To turn sustained pressure into overwhelming advantage for the entire team. And this is where the rest of the composition becomes perfect. Octavia is the first key, because she stabilizes the fight. In brawls, teams are fully maxed, and burst can be insane. Octavia helps prevent Drayne's biggest weakness, getting erased before his kit ramps. She buys time, she punishes reckless attackers, and she makes enemy pressure feel less clean. And that's exactly what Drayne wants. Because the longer Drayne stays alive, the more dangerous the entire battlefield becomes. Now add Iris, and the pressure turns into punishment. Iris is one of the best heroes in the game at turning time into damage. While Drayne is anchoring the front line and forcing enemies to stay engaged, Iris melts targets through sustained value and punishes clustering. The enemy doesn't just lose health, they lose control of how the fight is supposed to look. And when enemies start collapsing or repositioning poorly, Drayne benefits immediately. His pressure becomes easier to maintain, and his execution windows become cleaner. Now here comes the special layer of this team, Dante. Dante in Brawls is already a problem. But with relic support, Dante becomes something even more dangerous, consistent pressure that scales harder the longer the fight continues. And this is the key, Dante and Drayne amplify each other's win condition. When Drayne is creating long, messy fights, Dante becomes stronger. When Dante keeps pressure constant, Drayne gets more time to reach full value. This is not a carry plus support relationship. This is two pressure engines feeding the same fight philosophy. And that is why this team feels so oppressive in extended brawl fights. Finally, we add Burner, the damage engine that punishes survival teams. Burner thrives when fights don't end quickly, and this composition is built to prevent quick endings. While Drayne shapes the fight and Dante keeps pressure constant, Burner becomes the hammer that makes sure enemies don't recover. What makes this team so effective is that no one is rushed. Drayne doesn't need to burst. Dante doesn't need to gamble on a perfect opening. Iris doesn't need instant deletes. Octavia doesn't need to hard carry defense. Burner doesn't need early kills. Instead, the team controls the fight from start to finish, and that is exactly what Brawls are meant to reveal. Because in Brawls, you're not relying on luck. You're not hoping the enemy misplays. You're watching how a maxed Drayne behaves under real pressure. You see how often his tempo windows activate. You see how crushing changes damage curves. You see how the team benefits from his presence, not just him. That's the moment where Drayne's true value becomes impossible to ignore. So if you're entering this Drayne Brawls event, don't waste the opportunity. Run this team. Test it against everything. Watch the timing shifts. Watch when Drayne becomes unstoppable. And pay attention to how Dante's relic pressure and Iris's sustained punishment become stronger because Drayne is keeping the fight in the exact environment they want. Because the players who learn here, at maximum power, are the ones who invest smarter later with real resources. That's how you take the best from Brawls. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.